Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Yeah.
This time, we're diving into a YouTube video titled Shocking Truths About Society After Spiritual Awakening
Okay.
from the channel The Seekers Guild.
Interesting.
So this video dives into a unique perspective on current events and societal shifts and really gives us a glimpse into how some individuals are processing the complexities of our world.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the YouTuber connects seemingly disparate events.
Yeah.
Like mass shootings and a recent high-profile human trafficking case.
Oh, wow.
With their own personal journey of spiritual awakening. That's like they're searching for meaning in what they see as a declining society.
Right. They start off with this feeling of distress about these recent events and see them as symptoms of like a larger societal decay. They even go so far as to highlight the persistence of slavery even after its abolition.
Wow.
And tying it to the ongoing exploitation of vulnerable people, you know, for economic gain.
Right.
You can really feel their skepticism about the supposed progress that we've made.
Yeah, and this skepticism seems to fuel their belief that a spiritual awakening is necessary to rise above the negativity.
Interesting.
It's like they're saying, hey, the world is a mess, but I found a way to see beyond it, to transcend the chaos.
I see.
But they also acknowledge the fear and the internal struggles that come with this awakening.
Right.
It's not all blissful enlightenment.
Right. It's more like a roller coaster ride of self-discovery.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Good.
They bring up the Higgs boson, also known as the God particle.
Oh, wow.
And they have this fascinating theory.
Okay, so let's unpack that theory for our listener.
Yeah.
You see, the Higgs boson is a fundamental particle that gives mass to other particles.
Okay.
It was discovered at the Large Hadron Collider, which is a massive particle accelerator.
Right.
Now, the YouTuber theorizes that the experiments at the Large Hadron Collider might have created a ripple effect through a network connecting all matter.
It's kind of like they're picturing a cosmic pond.
Yeah.
And the Large Hadron Collider just dropped a giant pebble into it.
Right.
But instead of water, they're talking about a network that connects everything in the universe at a fundamental level.
Exactly.
They even suggest this ripple might be accelerating the evolution of consciousness itself.
It's a bold claim.
Yeah.
And one that physicists might debate.
Sure.
But what's important here is not the scientific accuracy of the theory, but what it reveals about the YouTuber's mindset.
Okay.
They're trying to make sense of their own spiritual transformation in the context of something bigger than themselves, something cosmic.
Right.
It's like they're trying to find their place in the grand scheme of things.
They even draw parallels to strategy games like Age of Empires, where players compete for world domination.
Interesting.
Often leading to nuclear war.
Oh, wow.
It seems they view the current state of the world through this lens, seeing rising tensions between major world powers as evidence of a similar trajectory.
This comparison to a game might seem simplistic,
Yeah.
but it reflects a common human tendency to look for patterns and analogies to understand complex situations.
Right.
The YouTuber is trying to make sense of global events by framing them in a way that they can relate to, using the familiar language of a game they understand.
And they don't shy away from the bleak implications of this game-like scenario.
Right.
Even mentioning the million-man North Korean army and Japan's massive navy. It's a pretty sobering picture they're painting.
This bleak outlook might stem from the emotional intensity of their spiritual awakening. It's not uncommon for people undergoing such profound shifts in consciousness to experience heightened sensitivity to the world's problems.
Okay.
It can be a bit like suddenly seeing the world in high definition, noticing all the flaws and injustices that you might have been blind to before.
So they're seeing these global conflicts as almost inevitable part of a larger historical cycle of rise and fall, conflict and collapse.
Building on this idea, they even draw a parallel to the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Wow.
Implying that humanity might be headed down a similar path unless we change course. This perspective reflects a broader philosophical debate about the cyclical nature of history. Are we doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past, or can we break free from these destructive patterns?
It's a question that has puzzled thinkers for centuries.
For sure.
Okay, so we've gone from societal breakdown and a spiritual awakening to this God particle network and a game-like scenario of global conflict.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot to take in.
It certainly is. And while we might not agree with all of the YouTubers' conclusions,
right.
I think it's important to acknowledge the genuine concern and the attempt to grapple with these big questions.
Yeah.
They're seeking answers just like all of us.
Absolutely. It seems like the YouTuber is kind of grappling with this tension
Yeah.
between feeling empowered by their spiritual awakening
Right.
and feeling overwhelmed by the state of the world. It's like they're caught between a sense of hope and a sense of despair.
That's a common experience for people who undergo a profound shift in consciousness.
Okay.
They might feel a sense of clarity and purpose,
Mm-hmm.
but they're also more acutely aware of the suffering and injustice in the world.
Right.
Challenging balance to strike.
They keep coming back to this idea of rising above the negativity.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean in practice?
Right.
Is it about withdrawing from the world, focusing solely on personal growth and detaching from the chaos?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there a way to integrate this newfound awareness into our actions, to engage with the world in a more conscious and impactful way?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And
Yeah.
different spiritual traditions and philosophies offer various perspectives on this.
Okay.
Some emphasize personal liberation and a pathway to collective enlightenment,
Yeah.
believing that by transforming ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
we can somehow create a ripple effect that positively impacts the world. Others focus on active compassion and social justice as integral to spiritual growth,
Okay.
arguing that true awakening involves a commitment to alleviating suffering and fighting for a more just and equitable world.
The YouTuber doesn't really offer any concrete solutions,
Right.
but they do seem to be genuinely searching for their place in all of this.
Yeah.
They're trying to make sense of it all, to find a way to reconcile their newfound awareness with the very real darkness they see around them.
And that search for meaning and purpose is something I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with news of conflict, inequality, and environmental crises.
Right.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed and powerless in the face of it all.
For sure.
So it's natural to seek answers, to look for ways to make a difference, even if we don't have all the answers ourselves.
It's almost like they're piecing together a puzzle.
Yeah.
Using bits and pieces from different sources.
Right.
Personal experience, scientific theories, historical events, even video games, to create a framework for understanding the world.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
You see, in the digital age, we're constantly bombarded with fragmented narratives and snippets of information from various sources. It's a challenge to synthesize it all,
Right.
to discern fact from fiction,
Yeah.
and to create a coherent worldview that feels meaningful to us.
And for this YouTuber, it seems like that worldview is still very much in flux.
I
They're
see.
questioning, exploring, connecting the dots in ways that might seem unconventional or even contradictory at times.
But that's part of the process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Growth and transformation rarely follow a linear path.
Mm-hmm.
It's often messy and confusing.
Sure.
And who knows, maybe in their search for answers, they'll stumble upon insights that resonate with others,
Right.
sparking new conversations and perspectives.
It's a good reminder that there are many ways of seeing the world, and that sometimes the most unexpected perspectives can offer the most profound insights.
Absolutely. And as we continue listening to this YouTuber's journey, I think it's important for us to approach their perspective with a sense of curiosity and openness,
Okay.
recognizing that their truth,
Mm-hmm.
while deeply personal,
Yeah.
might also contain kernels of wisdom that we can all learn from.
So as we delve deeper into their world,
Yeah.
let's try to set aside any judgments or preconceived notions we might have.
Right.
And instead approach their ideas with an open mind.
Okay.
Maybe we'll learn something new, something that challenges our assumptions and expands our understanding of what it means to be human in these complex and uncertain times.
I like that approach. And as we listen, I encourage you to pay attention not just to the content of their ideas, but also to the underlying emotions and motivations.
Okay.
What are they afraid of?
Right.
What are they yearning for?
Yeah.
What are they hoping to achieve by sharing their perspective with the world?
Because ultimately, I think that's where the real connection lies, not in the specific details of their beliefs, but in the shared human experience of seeking meaning, purpose, and connection in a world that can often feel fragmented and overwhelming.
Beautifully said. And as we continue, let's keep in mind that their story, while unique in its expression, is also a reflection of our own collective search for truth understanding and a sense of belonging in a world that is constantly changing and evolving.
The YouTuber goes on to talk about feeling like they're wearing this awakening,
Yeah.
sometimes more intensely than others.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not a constant state,
Right.
but something that fluctuates.
This description suggests a fluctuating state of consciousness,
Okay.
where moments of clarity and insight are interspersed with periods of confusion and uncertainty. It's not uncommon for individuals who have experienced a spiritual awakening to go through cycles of integration where they try to reconcile their heightened awareness with their everyday lives.
And they also mentioned feeling a vibration, a sense of something shifting, but they can't quite articulate what it is. Like, they're on the verge of understanding something profound, but the words just aren't there.
That's an interesting point. It highlights the limitations of language when trying to describe profound inner experiences. Words often fall short of capturing the nuances and complexities of such transformative states.
Right.
Like trying to explain the taste of chocolate to someone who has never tasted it before.
Ooh.
You can use metaphors and analogies.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the experience itself is something that can only be known directly.
It makes me wonder if maybe some truths can only be felt, not fully grasped intellectually. Like maybe some things just have to be experienced to be understood.
That's a thought many mystics and spiritual teachers have echoed throughout history.
Okay.
The idea that true knowledge transcends the realm of the rational mind and can only be accessed through direct experience, through a deep knowing that goes beyond words and concepts.
Okay, so we're starting to see some recurring themes here.
Yeah.
A sense of urgency, a yearning for connection, a struggle to articulate profound inner experiences. It's a lot to unpack, but I feel like we're starting to get a glimpse into the heart of what this YouTuber is trying to convey.
Yes, I think we're getting a better sense of their internal landscape and the challenges they face as they try to integrate their spiritual awakening with their understanding of the world.
Now, I remember they were talking about the Higgs boson and this God particle network.
Right, and they were about to elaborate on their theory about how this network might be influencing human consciousness.
Let's hear what they have to say about that. So they're saying that this God particle network, this interconnected web of all matter, is being influenced by experiments at the Large Hadron Collider. They believe that these experiments are sending like ripples through this network, like waves in a cosmic pool.
I see.
And that these ripples are somehow accelerating the evolution of human consciousness.
It's fascinating how they're weaving together these complex scientific concepts with their personal spiritual experiences.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to find a unifying theory that explains both the material world and the realm of consciousness.
And they even suggest that those who are ready are being tuned into this heightened frequency created by the Large Hadron Collider.
Wow.
It's as if they're envisioning a global awakening triggered by a scientific experiment. It's a pretty mind-blowing concept when you think about it.
It is. And while it might not align with mainstream scientific thinking, it reflects a deep yearning to understand the interconnectedness of everything.
Okay.
This idea that we're not just isolated individuals, but part of a larger web of being a cosmic dance of energy and consciousness.
They admit to not being a physics expert.
Sure.
But they still use terms like wavelength and frequency to explain their theory. It's like they're intuitively grasping at something, trying to find the language to describe an experience that might be beyond words.
And that struggle to articulate the ineffable is a common thread in many mystical and spiritual traditions. How do you describe a reality that transcends our ordinary senses, a realm of experience that defies logic and reason?
Right.
Words often fall short, but that doesn't mean the experience itself is invalid or insignificant.
Yeah. Then they shift gears and go back to their comparison of the world to a strategy game.
Okay.
Saying it's all about world domination and that we're on the brink of another major conflict. This seems to contradict their earlier point about a global awakening.
It does seem like a contradiction, but perhaps they're grappling with the paradoxical nature of our times.
Yeah.
We have the potential for incredible advancements in consciousness and technology, but we also face existential threats like climate change and nuclear proliferation.
Right.
It's a time of both great promise and great peril.
So they're acknowledging the possibility of a collective leap forward in consciousness, but they're also deeply concerned about the destructive patterns that seem to repeat throughout history.
This cyclical view of history, where periods of peace and prosperity are followed by conflict and collapse, has been a recurring theme in many cultures and philosophies.
Right.
It reflects a certain fatalism, a belief that we're bound to repeat the mistakes of the past.
But if it's all predetermined, what's the point of even trying to change things?
That's a valid question, and it highlights the potential danger of embracing a purely deterministic worldview.
Yeah.
It can lead to apathy and resignation, a sense that our actions don't really matter.
Interestingly, the YouTuber doesn't seem entirely resigned to this fate.
Okay.
They even mention the possibility of an alien intervention.
Oh.
Like maybe some advanced civilization will come and save us from ourselves.
The idea of extraterrestrial beings playing a role in human affairs is a popular theme in science fiction and conspiracy theories.
Right.
It often reflects a desire for external guidance or intervention in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
It's like they're hoping for a cosmic deus ex machina.
Yeah.
A last-minute rescue from the brink of disaster.
Right.
But then they bring it back down to Earth with a sobering thought, saying that the dinosaurs were around for millions of years and never evolved, implying that maybe that's our fate too.
That's a stark comparison.
Yeah.
They're suggesting that we might be just as prone to extinction as the dinosaurs, that our intelligence and technological advancements might not be enough to save us from ourselves.
So we've journeyed from societal breakdown and a spiritual awakening to the God particle, the possibility of alien intervention, and the fate of the dinosaurs, all in one YouTube video.
It's quite a journey.
It's been quite a deep dive.
It has, and while the YouTuber's perspective is unconventional,
Yeah.
it does raise some important questions about the state of our world, the nature of consciousness, and the potential for both individual and collective transformation.
So what does this all mean for us?
Wow.
I think it reminds us that there are many ways of making sense of the world and that even seemingly outlandish ideas can spark our curiosity and challenge our assumptions.
Absolutely.
It also highlights the importance of critical thinking, of discerning between information and speculation, and of being open to multiple perspectives without necessarily accepting any one viewpoint as absolute truth.
Right.
And maybe most importantly, it encourages us to engage in these conversations with compassion and empathy.
Yes.
Recognizing that even those who hold radically different views are ultimately seeking the same things, meaning connection and a sense of belonging in a world that can often feel overwhelming and uncertain.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed diving into this video with you today.
Yeah, this was a really interesting one. Thanks for joining me and helping break it all down.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
To all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.